Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
From her rich and fertile valleys to the shores of her icy seas, from her fields and farms and shellfish beds and her many nurseries, for the finest of her flavor, for the freshest by far, choose the things Alaskans bring to the market where you are. Products that we're proud to call our own, and it's all Alaska grown.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us for this Saturday show. Satellite imagery showing a lot of sunshine here, Kodiak Island, up into the southwest interior. Some clouds sneaking down from the north here that extend all the way back up to the Arctic coast there. Mostly this mid and high level stuff up in that area. A little thicker through here. Could have been a few isolated showers there, but nothing very heavy at all. And lots of sunshine, south central Alaska. Had some clouds to start with. That's slipping on down into the Gulf of Alaska. Looks like something's trying to develop there in the Gulf, looking at the cloud pattern, but clearing out quite nicely. Northerly winds coming in across south of the mountains. There's temperatures warming well into the 70s, up close to 80 this afternoon. Mostly sunny Copper River Basin, some clouds here the eastern Gulf Coast, Yakutat, that area. And lots of sunshine across the southeast coast today. And this batch of moisture up over the Mackenzie River area there and the delta kind of dropping southward, or it is dropping southward. And that kind of triggered some thunderstorms north of the mountains there across the central eastern Tanana Valley. Nothing very extensive, just a few lightning strikes this afternoon in that area, but nice conditions up over the eastern Arctic coast and north slope there with increasing southwest winds here ahead of a big Arctic low that's back to the northwest. And otherwise, very nice day across the Alaska Peninsula, just some streaks of high clouds coming through that area. There, really nothing much at all, and not much out over the Bering Sea as well. More cloudiness than what this photo shows. Thicker lower stuff right through here, but there's a lot of low clouds here in the blue area, and then a weak trough right through here, bringing some light rain into Adak. They had about 1/10 of an inch today in the 12-hour period during the day today, and rain and fog going on out of Chimio, that batch of clouds out to the west. On the chart, again, those showers scattered around the eastern interior, mostly from the Alaska Range northward. Some thunderstorms breaking out this afternoon, but again, nothing too widespread. Southwest flow ahead of that front approaching the Arctic coast, roughly in about this position here, definitely west of the area. And that picked up some moisture, low clouds, fog, typical IFR conditions there through the Bering Strait and the western Alaska Peninsula, and even a more extensive area here along the northwest coast pushing inland. But again, mostly high clouds, mid clouds, that sort of thing here. Not much in the way of any shower activity at all associated with that. And that would most likely, if it occurred, would have been right in that area. But mostly clear off here to the northeast. And again, sunshine, temperatures upper 60s to upper 70s across south central Alaska and the Kenai Peninsula. Some higher clouds there in Prince William Sound. Again, haven't cleared the area yet as they drop southward. We've got surface high pressure near or just north of Nunivak Island there, keeping the winds light through this area. A little breezy at times, anywhere from 15 to 30 mile per hour winds out of the north there. Across the Copper River Basin area with those gusty winds getting down to the North Gulf Coast, mainly through the channeled areas in that 25 to maybe 30 mile per hour range. And again, northwest winds keeping it clear across Kodiak Island. And then the winds kicking up. Wales had gusts of 40 miles an hour today, and Cape Lisburne had gusts to 50 miles per hour. And of course, this pattern, the perfect setup for those areas to get the stronger wind gusts. Cape Lisburne pretty exposed there. But Point Lay had gusts of 35 miles an hour as well. Then the winds decreased markedly if you go on over toward Barrow and the east side. And the forecast for tonight, clear skies here, mild temperatures, south central Alaska, all the way down Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula, Kodiak Island. Now the Alaska Peninsula, this trough may push eastward far enough to take the nice day you had today and add some clouds to it tonight, maybe a chance of a little moisture there. Same thing for the eastern Aleutians. Southeast flow or south to southeast flow could bring, probably will bring an increase in the clouds, maybe a few showers into that area as well. And AKwx could be in some light rain, fog, and drizzle there, as well as out to the west. And that's about it going on out over the Bering Sea. This front starting to fall apart now as it comes on shore. Just a narrow band of light precipitation, not as significant as what I got drawn here. But it'll be a narrow band of some light rain, possibly reaching Barrow, extending back down across the Chukchi Sea, Kivalina, possibly reaching Kotzebue, but whatever does won't amount to much. And still some clouds, little clouds, drizzle, fog conditions there. Across Norton Sound, southern coast of the Seward Peninsula and St. Lawrence Island. Again, high pressure here, very light wind conditions, so areas of fog all across the eastern Bering Sea. Nunivak Island off the coast there, Kuskokwim Bay should be in the clear, and interior, even to the north there, looking pretty good. Those showers on the decrease, just some scattered showers by about 4 a.m., 3 or 4 a.m. tomorrow morning there along the eastern Alaska range. A lot more miss than hit for those showers. Fair night, dry conditions coming up for the Panhandle, and this low system down here tomorrow will push some moisture northward as that low center edges in toward the Queen Charlottes. That'll bring a best chance of rain tomorrow afternoon to Prince of Wales Island and maybe two areas like Annette and Metlakatla. But clouds will increase and maybe some shower activity over the central area. It should be a pretty nice day though from Juneau westward along the North Gulf Coast. Just some variable cloudiness. Some of that moisture now sitting in over the Copper River Basin as it continues its southward trek slowly. We'll look for some showers, isolated thunderstorms. If any thunderstorms occur tomorrow in the state, it would be in the Copper River Basin there. Otherwise, a day much like today there for Kodiak Island, sunny and warm, south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula again. And looks like a lot of sunshine here right up across the Tanana Valley into the Yukon Flats. And even the eastern Brooks Range. This front now really washing out, just scattered showers possible along that boundary there, eastern Arctic coast and into the Kotzebue Sound area, Seward Peninsula. Nothing heavy at all. Higher pressure back to the west there. So look for some clearing possibly for the western Arctic coast as the winds tend to swing around to a more offshore direction. And then a lot of low stuff here, a lot of IFR, fog, drizzle, maybe some light rain there, Pribilof Islands, and that again, extending down toward the Alaska Peninsula. Nothing significant at all. High pressure behind that, so a dry day for the eastern Aleutians, especially for Nikolsky. And again, just areas of low clouds and fog, maybe some drizzle out over the Aleutians. Winds remain light. Shemya, day tomorrow, much like today as well, so no change in the forecast. And then taking a look to Monday, we'll see this system down in this area pulls northward. The front pushes northward, so a much better chance of rain coming into the picture tomorrow night and into Monday, spreading northward, not quite reaching the northern areas, maybe cutting off around Sitka or so, the way it looks at this point in time, but definitely more clouds and better chance of rain across this whole shaded, green shaded area there over the Panhandle. Otherwise, much interior Alaska, lots of sunshine, light winds along the coast now, south central Alaska back into the 60s and 70s for the highs, sunshine Kodiak Island, even out along the coast. VFR conditions, there may be some variable high clouds mixed in here, but generally it's going to be a lot of sunshine. And then this high pressure area, 1,041 millibars now pushing eastward just north of Barrow. That's going to keep that boundary together enough to maybe produce a little bit of light precipitation and some cloudiness that'll extend down into the northern Koyukuk Valley areas. Otherwise, looking pretty good. Not too bad on the winds out here, maybe a little breezy along the Arctic coast, but nothing serious at all. And back out to the west, southeast to northwest flow here is going to keep it socked in with IFR, fog, drizzle from the central Aleutians in across the southwest or western Bering Sea area. Still, the remnants of this trough could keep it on the cloudy, drizzly side there for the Pribilofs, and that's about it. Nothing much going on. Fair skies, Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, light winds, maybe some sunshine as well. And as I mentioned, another nice day here for Kodiak Island and on up the coastline. Maybe mostly sunny even for St. Lawrence Island and through the Bering Strait with that general offshore wind flow. For the temperatures across the southeast coast, lots of sunshine, so lots of readings into the lower to mid 70s through the area there. 70 over at Annette, 70 also at Klawock. Mid-afternoon temperatures, not the high. 75 at Juneau, 77 today. Skagway, Yakutat, Cordova, 73. Valdez back up to near 80. Mid 70s, upper 60s here across the Kenai Peninsula. A little warmer in the valley with Big Lake and Willow both reaching 80 degrees today, as well as on the Glen Highway there at Thunderbird Falls. All those locations reaching 80. 72 down in Kodiak. 70s over the Copper River Basin. That's McCarthy with 74. Up to the north though, Tok 65. Lower to mid 60s across the Tanana Valley, but Living Good pushed up to 71 and 66 over at Fort Yukon. 57 Bettles and Anatuvik at 61. 65 today, downslope flow. Would have been warmer if it wasn't for the clouds up there, the higher clouds at Umiat Airfield. 60s to as high as 66 at Dead Horse, 49 Kaktovik. Otherwise upper 40s to mid 50s here in the northwest, but Deering up to 63, 50 in Nome. McGrath pushed up to 67. Generally 60s all the way down, including the coastline there. And Savunga had 50. Mid to upper 50s for the Pribilofs today. 67 this afternoon at Unalaska. Otherwise mid to upper 50s for the locations out to the west. Alaska Peninsula 60s to 70. That's Cold Bay with 70 degrees. 68 Sandpoint and 70 at Chignik. King Salmon and Dillingham both with 71 degrees. For the lows tonight, pretty mild, lower to mid 50s here to mid 50s over the Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Aleutians. Even pretty mild up to the north there. Temperatures all staying above 40 degrees. Upper 40s to mid 50s for the Panhandle. And for tomorrow, again, temperatures 70s, Bristol Bay, 60s and 70s through the interior again, and Susitna Valley areas as well. Copper or up in the Yukon Flat, 60s to lower 70s. Some locations up there in the lower 70s, as I mentioned. Probably will be tomorrow, possibly. And mostly in the 60s for the Panhandle. But again, some locations approaching 70 degrees. That'll be mostly in the northern areas as that cloud cover increases and the chance of shower activity also increases, especially down over the southern portions. And for flying weather tomorrow, looks like some marginal VFR could be possible there along the central and eastern Alaska range, and then some of this slipping up to close to Prince of Wales Island later tonight. Lots of IFR western Arctic coast as that frontal boundary kind of sags into the area and weakens. So IFR over the northern Bering Sea, VFR along the southwest coast into Bristol Bay. Lots of IFR over the Aleutians and of course the Bering Sea. For tomorrow afternoon, that looks something like this. VFR over the interior, back out to the southwest, and you pick the IFR up St. Lawrence Island to the Pribilofs, on back out toward Amchitka Island and to the west. And some of that could get down to the north side of Unalaska Island and the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, pretty good over the interior. Areas of marginal VFR slipping northward across the Panhandle. All the passes everywhere are VFR. Adigan, Lake Clark, and Merrill, VFR, rainy, VFR, windy, Isabel, Mentasta, all looking good tomorrow. Tanita, the same forecast. Portage, Chilkoot and White, VFR. Freezing levels this morning, Kotzebue, 32 degrees, occurred at 14,600 feet. I don't think I've ever seen it that high, above 14,000 feet here over in the northwest part of the state. But that'll be coming down and looking at about 10 to 12,000 feet late tonight, early tomorrow. Cooler air mass here back over northwest Canada, so about 8,000 feet or so here over the eastern interior. Otherwise, pretty warm air mass across the Bering Sea all the way out to the western Aleutians. And for icing, pretty icing free again over much of the state, maybe a little bit with the remnants of that front as it pushes eastward along the Arctic coast. but that would be above 8,000 feet or more, and then some moisture slipping northward could bring a threat of some icing in across Dixon entrance into maybe southern Prince of Wales Island. And the jet stream here, that cold lower freezing levels, upper level low associated with that. We've got northeast flow about 100 knots. You don't see that too often in the jet stream there coming out of the northeast into the interior here at 100 knots, and then right across Kodiak Island at about 90 knots. Low pressure off the southeast coast. That's be bringing the rainfall chances in with it, and a low here south of the Aleutians. Otherwise, kind of a weak trough here across St. Lawrence Island. And for 9,000 feet, easterlies picking up to 30 knots across Dixon entrance during the day tomorrow. Northeasterlies up to 25s to Sitna Valley. On down to Kodiak, maybe as high as 35 knots, and then diminishing back to the northwest. 15 knots over the interior from varying directions as you get toward the Brooks Range there. And not much in the way of any wind to speak of out over the Aleutians. That same pattern goes for 3,000 feet as well. Northwesterlies 25 knots here, Bristol Bay, Kodiak Island, eastern Alaska Peninsula Aleutian Range. Northerlies 10 to 20 over the interior, and kind of a light variable wind pattern out here over the Bering Sea and the Aleutians, 5 to maybe 20 knots at the most. And then these easterlies increasing in Queens, Charlotte's, Dixon entrance, but remaining pretty light up to the north. And from there, looking at turbulence, occasional light to isolated, very isolated, moderate chop, mechanical type stuff here, Kodiak Island, Alaska Peninsula, up into the southwest interior, really kind of stretching it up in this area. And then with those gusty southwest winds there from about Kivalina, Point Hope, Cape Lisburne, on up to maybe Wainwright. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the ice edge and the marine forecasts.
The Valdez fly-in started out probably back in the 80s. It became this mecca of short-field takeoff and landing, bush flying, you know, where everybody meets. All the cowboys show up. You know, everybody shows up with their horse, you know.
Okay, welcome everyone. We'll start the safety briefing for the SOL competition. If you have not done it somewhere else, do not do it here first. This is not the time to try the new technique.
This competition prepares pilots for landing off airport. Whenever you're looking for a place to land, you have to be absolutely certain about that spot. You have to be able to touch down at that spot or a little bit later and never before it. So being able to get down exactly where you want and stop as quickly as you can, one is really fun in competition, but two is excellent training for flying supercars.
There's a lot to it that separates some of these guys from just your normal flying around the United States types of pilot. I guess that's why they come and seek me out a little bit. I've been flight instructor for about 20 years now. Like any kid, whatever his dad does, you probably don't want to do it, you know, but it's the only thing I ever knew. When you're hanging around a bunch of pilots, we have a lot of pride, you know, we talk about, well, I've been flying this airplane for the last 5,000 hours, you know, and I've been in this airplane for 2,000 hours, and, you know, I learned to fly when I was 16.
I've been flying since I was about 2 weeks old.
I've been flying since the headset would fit over my little baby head.
I started flying with my father when I was 8 years old.
So I asked my dad one day, I'm like, hey, when was the first time I was in an airplane? And my dad looks at me and he says, son, you were conceived in an airplane.
This will be my 6th year at the Valdez fly-in, and I've won first place in 4 of the 5 years. We have the T3 tail wheel suspension. You can find that at supercubsnorth.com. In the front here we have the leading edge slats. They help the air stay attached to the wing and help it fly at a high angle of attack. We have a 240 horsepower motor. It cruises around 85 miles an hour, but it climbs out at, better than anything I've ever flown in. Most of the guys that I compete with at Valdez at the STOL competition are seasoned bush pilots that have been around the block for a long, long time. They've seen way more than I'll ever see in my life. So they all give me a hard time about having won in the past. And I just hope that I don't run out of luck here. Because these guys, they are certainly really good, and I don't doubt that they'll come back and get me one day.
All right, you need to do it within 194 feet. You landed. 55 feet 8 inches. Let's give him a wave.
I've been flying in Valdez at a competition for about the last 10 years, and it's been great fun, but nothing has ever come close to the amount of pride and fun that I had today getting to compete with my daughter in this event.
I've been coming here with my dad since I was probably an infant, and this year he finally convinced me to compete too.
Laura J. Erb. Her first landing distance was 209 feet, so let's see if she can beat her first landing distance. And yes, that will qualify. All right, Wes, proud dad. Now, let's see, her second landing was 162. Your best landing was, if I remember right, 152? That's close, but we have to check the numbers. I think she might have beat me this year.
Getting in a Super Cub for the first time is like strapping on a set of wings and see everything from a bird's perspective, and then touch down and get out, and suddenly you're 100 miles from where you last were, or maybe even in a place that nobody's ever been before, and it's just an unreal experience. Flying up in Alaska is a lot different than flying in the lower 48 because the weather changes so rapidly, the terrain is much more varied. Having the opportunity to be a pilot in Alaska has really defined who I am as a pilot and who I am as a person.
Today's sea ice analysis showing this area right here is mostly open water along the ice edge, heavier stuff right through there. With those winds, that's going to keep it off the coast, at least unless they some point turn northwesterly, then this stuff could slide back down, but doesn't look like that's going to happen at least over the next several days. Moving on to the marine forecast, east 15 on the south coast, east-southeast 15 on up to the north, so pretty light winds tomorrow. Inside waters, northerlies 15 to 20 here. Those will become light and variable in the afternoon. Stevens Passage holding southeast at 15. Those kick up to about 20 knots though on Monday down there, and easterly winds at 20 knots as that system comes northward, but still no small craft advisories except for northern Lynn Canal, north 25 knots with 5-foot seas. Really light winds up here and variable along the north coast. Prince William Sound, variable north at 10 tomorrow. Same thing for Cook Inlet, picking up to 15 knots south of the Forelands. Small craft advisories for the Barren Islands at 25 knots, otherwise 15 to 20 here blowing across Kodiak Island. And then for Monday, 15 out of the north, Prince William Sound, north to northeast at 15 for the North Gulf Coast, northwest 20 there through the Barrens. So that'll be the windiest area of these marine zones, otherwise 15 knots here around Kodiak Island and light northerlies up through Cook Inlet. For Bristol Bay, northwesterlies at 10, and that extends all the way down here to Cape Sarachev with 3-foot seas, pretty slight in that department. Small craft advisories here from Sitkinak, maybe as far over as Castle Cape, 25 knots. Those winds will be a little brisker up to the northeast there, and then northeast 15 to the west. For Monday, northwest 15 across the peninsula. Also for Bristol Bay and southwest of Kodiak Island with 5-foot seas on the Pacific side, 3 to 4 feet here to the north. Fox Islands, light westerlies tomorrow, 3 to 5-foot seas, and then swinging around to the south and southeast up to 20 knots with 5 to 8-foot seas here. Heaviest on the Pacific side, light easterly winds on out to Shimia. For Monday, that continues, picks up a little bit here, easterlies 15 to 20 knots for those western zones. Possible small craft advisories for the central Aleutians here from the east and southeast, maybe up to 25 knots, but diminishing, staying light there variable to the east at 10 for the eastern Aleutians. For the southwest coast, northerlies 15 to 20, pretty light winds, St. Lawrence Island, St. Matthew Island, southeast about 20 for the Pribilofs. And then those go light on Monday. Northerlies back up to 15 for St. Lawrence Island, 15 to 20 knotters here for the coast. Eastern Arctic coast or eastern Beaufort Sea coast, with that boundary right through here, or actually right through here, south to southeast 15 to 20 in advance of that, northwest 15 back behind it, and then northerlies 20 knots from Cape Beaufort all the way down to the Bering Strait. And then for Monday, not much change out in this area, those 20 knot winds. Southeast 20 though on the west side, and then north to northeast 15 knots from the central coast over to Demarcation Point. And for the forecast for tonight again, fair skies, southeast coast, clear skies, south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, on out toward Kuskokwim Bay. Maybe some light rain there slipping into the Alaska Peninsula. More likely, though, up here along that frontal boundary, which is weakening as it pushes eastward. Maybe some areas of light rain with that. Otherwise, diminishing showers along the eastern Alaska Range, which tomorrow will probably redevelop a little bit here over the Copper River Basin, any one of which could develop into an isolated thunderstorm or two. And showers to the Alaska Peninsula, clouds and drizzle for the Pribilofs. Sunny and warm here, Kodiak Island, south central Alaska into the interior tomorrow. Increasing chances for rain on the extreme southeast coast, otherwise partly and mostly cloudy with maybe a few showers. And then for Monday, looking like this, we've got lots of sunshine, possibly even here at western Arctic coast, all the way down to Kodiak Island again. Mild temperatures, showers possibly slipping across the border there into the eastern Alaska Range area. Otherwise, clouds and drizzle, fog out over the Bering Sea, and rain in the Panhandle. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, fueling philanthropic programs and dedicated to creating educational and professional opportunities for Alaska Native people.